In today's show, we're looking ahead to Sunday's action and who we can stream in to win our matchups. Michael Bolton.
Thanks, Josh. It's Michael Bolton here, and it's time for another episode of the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast. Let's get to it.
Let's get to it, indeed.
You are Locked On Fantasy Basketball, your daily fantasy basketball podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network.
Hello and welcome to the Locked On Fantasy Basketball Podcast, brought to you by Basketball Monster. My name is Josh Lloyd and I am the lead fantasy analyst at basketballmonster.com and at Yahoo Sports Australia. And you can find me on Twitter as always at redrock_bball and on Instagram at Locked On Fantasy Basketball. Today's episode is brought to you by BetOnline. BetOnline has you covered this season with more props, odds, and lines than ever before. BetOnline is where the game starts. Thank you for making Locked On Fantasy Basketball your first listen every day. We are free and we are available on all platforms. So, we've got Sunday's action we're going to take a look at. We're going to go through, for points leagues, who to stream in, for Yahoo and ESPN, and then for category leagues, which specific categories we're looking at. So, Warnie, what do you reckon?
Let's get it on, Gilly.
We'll start with points leagues. We'll start with Yahoo points leagues to be more specific. Who are we streaming in for Sunday's action on Yahoo? Well, the number one guy there is Justice Winslow. Now, if you just watched my weekly preview show, you would know that the Blazers have got a dreadful schedule next week. They've only got 2 games. Winslow, if you've got that ability to stash him through a 2-game week, you do it. But regardless, he needs to be rostered for Sunday. I think he needs to be rostered the rest of the season. And it is a really lean stretch here for Portland. But then we head fantasy playoffs and it gets good. Alec Burks should have been prepared for that sound drop. Bit disappointing.
Alec Burks.
There you go. There's no Derrick Rose, of course. There's no Kemba Walker. Burks is going to get good minutes. Isaiah Jackson. Available in over 50% of leagues still. He is a must-roster player. You have to add him. Pacers have 4 games next week as well. But you got to add Isaiah Jackson. He's a great stream, but you got to add him. Absolutely, I would add him over Brissett. But Brissett's a great streamer for tomorrow as well. He's getting a lot of minutes. He can be up and down with the production, but he's a good streamer. Carmelo Anthony and Dwight Howard. Yes, this is 2022, but they are playing sizable roles for the Lakers. The Lakers are losing, but they are playing sizable roles for the Lakers. And I think they do it again. And they're worth streaming in. Another Pacers big man, Jalen Smith. He produces in low minutes. He's worth an ad as well. Now, last time Drew Eubanks, the game for the Blazers, he was shithouse. But if he gets another start, there's potential for 25, 26 fantasy points there. Potential. So he's a stream option. Nico Batum as well, although Batum and the Clippers are always iffy, but he's an option. And Kevon Looney, I think on Yahoo leagues makes a little bit of sense as a stream option there for Sunday's action. If we go to ESPN points leagues, which we're going to do right now, some of the same names, Justice Winslow, Alec Burks. Marcus Morris is rostered in 30% of ESPN leagues. I think he's a great stream for Sunday. I think he should be on rosters anyway, in a points league specifically. Isaiah Jackson's on that list. The wild thing, Jayshawn Tate.
Even the wild thing's gone well. I can't do much about that.
Wild thing should be on a roster, especially as a stream for Sunday. Monty Morris is available in a lot of spots on ESPN. And while I'm not the biggest Monty Morris fan, especially in points leagues, there's great value there to stream him on Sunday. Nico Batum, we've talked about. Terrence Mann's available. Love what he's doing. He's going to be inconsistent and have issues because that's the sort of player he is. But the minutes are great, and the production's pretty strong. O'Shea Brissett and Cam Johnson. ESPNers. This list, there are a lot of people. I know ESPN, the numbers are really weird. Isaiah Jackson's must roster. Cam Johnson is must roster. Terrence Mann is must roster. Alec Burks is must roster. Marcus Morris and Justice Winslow are. So 5 of these guys who are available in some spots to stream, they should just be on rosters permanently. So just see if they're around in your league. If they are, go grab them. Straightforward. The other thing you can grab is a Built Bar. When you're grabbing stuff, you always want to reach for the thing that tastes great, but it's also very, very healthy for you. And that's what Built Bar is. Built Bar is that protein bar that's full of protein, 17 grams in most bars, but also low in calories and low in carbs. And have you tried their Puffs? If you haven't, you're missing out on one of Built Bar's best tasting bars. Puffs are the first ever protein-infused marshmallow. They're fluffy and they're marshmallowy. And not just a protein bar, they're also a treat covered in 100% real chocolate. So go to Built.com. Scroll down to the macros. You'll be blown away. It's going to blow your mind checking those out. High protein, low calorie, high fiber, and low carb. 130 calories, 4 grams of sugar. It's a great combination. Head to built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15 and get 15% off your order. The code is LOCKED15 for 15% off at built.com. Built Bar is built different. Let's now move to category leagues. Who are we looking to stream in for category leagues, and what about the specific categories? Well, in the points category, there's not many options there. And points is always one of those things that I push back against common thinking, or I guess the prevailing narrative. People go, you can always get points off the waiver wire. And while that's true, nearly everybody in the NBA, except for Tony Snell, that's not even fair to Tony Snell anymore because he's scoring well, everybody scores some points, right? That is the easiest thing to do, is to go out there and score 4 points. And technically, yes, they are scoring points. But you cannot get guys that make a difference off the waiver wire. You can find someone on the waiver wire who blocks a shot. And that is absolute league average fantasy basketball. You cannot find a 17-point producer off the waiver wire for points, which is average. You can't find that guy. So while you can add someone to get you 10 points, it's very hard to make that a difference maker. And that's why you look at this list and you go, it's pretty rough. There's not many great points guys out there. Eric Gordon's the best of the bunch, and Luke Kennard's not far behind him. And then after that, it gets rough. This is, again, using our advanced metric to say which players are available in over 50% of leagues, tracking our advanced leagues to get more of an idea versus dead leagues and beginner leagues, that sort of stuff. KJ Martin, again, we're talking about guys who might score 9 points here. Nico Batum, Amir Coffey, who went bananas in that fourth quarter against the Lakers yesterday. Drew Eubanks, Jalen Smith. I like the Smith one. MC Hamadou Diallo. Now, Diallo is he's interesting.
Stop. Have time.
He got ejected on Saturday for pushing a ref. Will he be suspended? I think we have to watch that. Ben McLemore could not be worse than last game where he went, 0 of 6 or 0 of 7 for 0 points. And then Dwight Powell had a really big game for Dallas last time out. We don't expect that, but 10, 11, 12 points is possible for him. But these are not huge scorers outside of Gordon and maybe Kennard. They're probably your best 2 options out there to help influence that points category. For 3-pointers, some similar names. Lukey Kennard, great option here. McLemore, Eric Gordon, Nico Batum, all potential to hit 3 threes. Davis Bertans can hit 5 threes and score 15 points in 15 minutes and do nothing else, but he is a great option too. Gary Bird, Garrison Matthews, minutes are coming down a little bit, but he's going to do basically nothing else except shoot threes. And that has appeal to us because, again, if you're shooting 80% of your shots at threes and you hit 4 shots, then maybe you have 3 triples straight there. And there's enough there to make sense. Grant Williams has been playing excellently. Minutes are way up. He's been an unbelievable shooter all season. We talked about him on yesterday's What to Watch For as a great back-to-back stream. The first leg of that really came up strong. See if it comes up again. Amir Coffey, and then a couple of Nuggets players. Bryn Forbes, all he does is shoot threes. And then the big stiffy, Bones Highland, who is partial to a triple as well. So there's some options for your 3-pointer category. For rebounds, we're going to the big blokes. Kevon Looney should be pretty solid. Jalen Smith's a good rebounder. Dwight Howard had a double-double in 10 minutes yesterday. Drew Eubanks and Trenton Watford, they were both terrible for the Blazers in that 40-point loss against the Warriors. Hopefully things are a little bit closer here and we get production better from both of those guys. But they're both options here. JaVale McGee. CJ Allaby was rough as well. He only played 22 minutes, but I think every Blazers player was under 30. And prior to that, he'd been getting 30 a night. He can be a 6 or 7 rebound player. Otto Porter. This is because the assumption John Kuminga's rostered in most spots. Otto Porter's an interesting stream. KJ Martin's a good rebounder. Dwight Powell is going to get solid enough minutes there for Dallas to get some rebounds in to help influence that rebound category. But if you want to influence your betting brilliance, that's a terrible segue, but BetOnline's not terrible. In fact, it's great. And basketball, it's full steam ahead, both pro and college hoops. So from the latest odds, totals, and player performance props, and I got that right the first time this time, BetOnline.net is your number 1 spot for all of your sports betting needs. BetOnline remains the best spot for all of your sports scores, your podcasts, and news this season. And it's not just basketball. BetOnline.net is your source for hockey, boxing, and UFC odds. So head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and action. BetOnline is where the game starts. Let's look at assists. And this is a category that is very rough on the waiver wire. Very rough. It's why you have to go assists hard in drafts or you punt them because they're very hard to get later on. And you're just looking at this list, like Emmanuel Quickly. Yeah, there's no Derek Rose, there's no Kemba Walker, so Quickly might play 20 minutes. He might have 3 assists, he might have 6. Interesting. Killian Hayes. What does Dwayne Casey do? Does he play him under 20 minutes for the 4th game in the last 5? Maybe. Taylor Horton-Tucker, I think is a very, very interesting stream option. Horton-Tucker is playing much better of late, and he can get some assists. Corey Joseph is the corollary to Killian Hayes. If Hayes isn't playing, then Joseph is, and he put up a big game today. So he's worth a look. Luke Kennard, Eric Gordon, we've spoken about them already, as we have with the big stiffy Bones Highland. Trendon Watford, interestingly, can be an assist player despite getting minutes at centre. CJ Allaby, just through volume of minutes alone, and Kevon Looney. But you see that after Highland, it gets very, very rough in terms of getting assists. And even Bones is not the greatest assist player. So you've got, really not much there. Quickly Hayes, Horton-Tucker, Joseph, that's about it. Kennard, maybe. It's very hard to influence an assist category. Very, very difficult. Let's look at steals. Nico Batum, the Doctor, Gary Payton. Does he start again, or do they go back to Kuminga? Otto Porter, Dwight Howard, CJ Allaby, just through minutes alone there again for him. Horton-Tucker's an interesting steals option. Diallo's a pretty good steals guy if he's not suspended. Cody Martin in Charlotte, usually pretty good with getting steals, and second game back should be interesting. Killian Hayes, if he actually gets enough minutes. And Corey Joseph is a guy that can get some steals if he plays those extra minutes as well. For blocks, Isaiah Hartenstein, big minutes the last 2 games. I don't know what to make of it. I don't know if it's real. Don't actually care. I think he's worth streaming in, though, to see where this goes. Dwight Howard, good blocks guy. Jalen Smith, Drew Eubanks, JaVale McGee. Greggy Brown in Portland. He might pull off 2 blocks in his 20 minutes. Grant Williams, good shot blocker. At least 1 block sort of player. Nico Batum, Trendon Watford. And I don't know if the Knicks will do it again, but Jericho Sims played over Taj Gibson and Nerlens Noel, as Tom Thibodeau said that he wanted to see what Jericho's got to offer. Now, I don't know whether he wants to see that for 2 games in a row, but Sims is a player with a little bit of intrigue there. Let's look at field goal percentage. McGee, Dwight Powell, Hartenstein, Dwighty Howard, Drew Eubanks, Watford, Jeff Green, amazingly.
My name is Jeff.
Kevon Looney, Gary Payton, and Jericho Sims. And lastly, we look at free throw percentage streamers. We've got Quickly, Amir Coffey, Cameron Reddish, with Quentin Grimes out for at least 2 weeks. Reddish is probably back in the rotation solidly now. Davis Bertans, Bryn Forbes, Luke Kennard, Grant Williams, Bones Highland, JaMychal Green, and Gary Bird, Garrison Matthews. That will do it for this little What to Watch For show, looking at the action for Sunday. Follow this podcast on Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, and on the Odyssey app. If you're here on YouTube, thumb it up. And leave your comments down below, guys. We are done here. Thank you so much for listening, everyone. See ya.